On to the next challenge, entitled Days in a Month. You are to create a function that takes the month and year as integers and returns the number of days in that month. Straightforward enough. Check it out. They're using one-based indexing here, so 2 in this case would represent February. Remember before how we said it's usual to use 0-based. In this case, they're going to use the one-based numbering that we use when we write dates out on checks or whatever. So yeah, just be aware of that. That's why you get 28 here. So yeah, March has 30 days. February is the oddball, right? It can have 28 or 29 depending on if it's a leap year. So we have to account for that. There is one tip they give you below, that there's a library function that can really help with this problem. That is definitely the way you should go to solve this. Pause and do it now. I'm going to roll my own solution real quick just because it affords an opportunity to show another control structure that I don't think I've used yet in this series. So let's do that. You know me, I like to start with some input validation. So I'm going to go if month is less than 1 or the month, well, it jumped on me. Month is greater than 12, that's gibberish, right? You could even do the year here. Maybe you want to say it's greater than 0 or, you know, whatever you want there. Cover your rear end. I'm just going to return -1. I commonly do that in these for integers just to denote something went wrong. There are better ways to deal with that, but it's beyond the scope of this discussion. So next, what are we on to? I want to handle February in its own kind of logic. It's the one oddball, right? If you think about the months. Outside of February, they're either 30 days or 31. That's it. February is the weird one, so I'm going to do that first. I'm going to make a special case for it. If month equals to, this is February. Then the big thing I want to know here is if I'm dealing with a leap year. And I'm going to make a helper function for that, so as not to clutter up this method. Say public static bool is leap year. Given a year, I just want to know, hey, is this thing a leap year? And it's a little more involved in determining that than I had originally thought. It's still not bad, but for some reason I had it in my head that you could, if it was evenly divisible by 4, it was that simple, but it's not quite that simple. But I found, even in the Microsoft docs, right, they got this little algorithm here that explains it. So if it is divisible by 4, you got a couple other conditions to check. And feel free to pause the video here to think about this logic and understand it. I would also like you to pause and actually implement this logic yourself. It's a good exercise in doing compound if-else statements. So I think that would be a good exercise for you too. I'll try to go do that now. So we had if year modulo 4 equals 0, right? Remember we did modulo. No remainder means it's evenly divisible by whatever number we pass in. So on my doc it said go to step 2. Next we got to check if it's, well first let's handle this, otherwise go to step 5. If it doesn't pass that, it already says it's not a leap year, so I'm already going to pen in return false. We know we're not dealing with a leap year. Next, check if it's evenly divisible by 100. So I'll go if year modulo 100 equals 0. And if it is, go to step 3. Otherwise go to step 4. So let's handle this. Otherwise go to step 4. That means it is a leap year. So my else, similarly, my else condition off this will be else return true. Okay, and then we also had if the year is evenly divisible by 400, then it is a leap year. Otherwise it's not. If the year divisible by 400, return true. And if it wasn't, you're going to return false at this point. And this should encompass those 5 lines of description there. So I'm going to leverage this. And then, see, now that I made this and I broke this out, is leap year could be useful for other people working with dates, and anyone could use that. And then it makes the implementation here really simple, right? I just have to go if is leap year, it is a leap year. On leap years, February has 29 days, otherwise it has 28, bam. And that made it a lot easier with this helper function. So there we go. That covers February. Now we're going to cover the remaining months. And this is, I wanted to do this as a switch statement because I don't think we've done that yet. Switch is kind of like an alternative to writing a bunch of if and else statements, you know, if this condition, else if this condition, else if this condition, finally else, you know, do something else. It's another way of looking at that, and you basically pass it a parameter. In this case, we're dealing with months, so I'm going to give it the month, and we're going to handle the various months that could possibly come in. And the way you do this is what they call cases. So this case is a keyword, case, and I'm going to say 1 for January to start, and then there's a colon. And then after this colon, you're free to type your logic here. You can do this. This can span many lines, and then when you're done, traditionally you'll break. And what this break will do is break you out of subsequent cases, because you're going to have multiple cases, right? We're not going to do 2 because I already covered February, but you know, we'd have case 4. These would each have their own logic, right, for what to do with those months. And if you don't put this break statement in, this will continue to fall through. So it'll run all the logic for case 1. If there's no break, then it will run all the logic for case 3. If case 3 doesn't break, it'll run all the logic for case 4, etc., until it encounters a break. And the other thing that we do know is the return keyword, and that effectively works the same way here in the case. If you're leaving the whole method, I mean, you can think of that as breaking out of the whole method. Break, what it does is it breaks out of its local scope, which is defined by these curly braces of the switch statement. So it'll jump you right out past. You can imagine if we had some more lines of code here, it would jump from this break outside of this to your first line and resume execution there. So that's what you get. In our case, we're doing something really simple, so I'm just going to return 31. Feel free to consult the calendar or a chart if you need to look up the number of days in each month. So in our case, instead of writing out all of these cases, return 31, return 30, return 31, return 30, we can kind of take advantage of that property of switch statements that I just mentioned, where they sort of fall through if you don't have a break statement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the months with 31 days, and I'm just going to keep sort of stacking them all here. 5, case 7, August is also 1, October is 1 for Halloween, right? And Christmas is 1, 12. And so if any of these cases are hit, they all basically execute the same statement, this return 31. And then I can do the same thing for the months with 30 days. Again, I'm skipping February, I handled that, 4, 6, 7, 8, and then I believe 9 and 11 would cover us. Case 11, return 30. Yeah, and then also no, we don't need it here. Well, we shouldn't need it here if my validation's right, but there is this default, and this is sort of a catch-all. If your logic went through and didn't match any of the cases, you can have it run some special code in this default section. This default is a keyword, so you could do any kind of thing you wanted here. I'm not going to. Sometimes I'll just put a log statement in there like, hey, I wasn't expecting to get here. And those will on occasion pop up and it's, oh, okay. And that's a nice notification. But I think we're good here. Return 31 or return 30. Yeah. There's really nothing else to do at this point. Although the compiler might yell at me. Maybe we'll see. If I don't, if it says that I need to, not all paths return, we'll see what it gives me. Okay, days in a month. Roll your own version. Let's give it a go. Oh, error. We saw it happened on line 3, space 23. Days, month, year, program, int. Not all code. Yep, so like I was saying, they want to be sure that all code paths. So to achieve this, let's absolutely do that. And let's just return -1. It should never get here, but this is definitely an error case if there's some way of getting down here. I think this will satisfy things. Yeah, okay, good. And yeah, that was kind of long-winded though, right? You're probably in the back of your head at this point are realizing there's that sweet little one-liner in there that's already built in. And yeah, you were right. You could have just went right to that, but I thought this was nice to show the switch statement, give you a little practice with this compound if-else kind of thing. So thanks for bearing with me. Let's go right into the one-liner. I'll refresh to get a clean slate. While this is loading, let's show you what it is. This is days in a month. Look at that, the method made for our challenge. And it's coming from this datetime class in the system namespace. But yeah, isn't this slick for what we want? Look at this. And days in July. Days in month, give it a year and a month, and it'll take care of all this stuff for us. That is sweet right there. So, go to code. Let's just make sure they're not lying to us. Return, was it system, date time, days in month? I think I said year, month. Return, yeah, let's see what that does. Wow, wasn't that a lot easier? This could have been a 3-second video. And look at, just completely readable. I mean, it's very obvious what's going on here. This is just winning all the way. So, thanks for bearing with me and working through those mini challenges if you did that. Good job for whatever you got right. And feel free to hit me up if there's any problems. Thanks for watching.